Understanding how safety behaviors can worsen anxiety. Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that might surprise you. How some of the things you're doing to manage your anxiety could actually be making it worse. Yes, you heard that right. There are certain habits or coping mechanisms, known as safety behaviors, that feel helpful in the moment, but can end up maintaining or even worsening your anxiety in the long run. Before we dive deeper into the topic, a quick disclaimer. I am a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada. The information presented here is for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be used as a substitute for professional medical or psychological advice. Always consult your healthcare provider for personal guidance. What are safety behaviors? Safety behaviors are actions or strategies that people use to reduce their anxiety in the moment. They are typically done to create a sense of safety or to prevent something bad from happening. However, these behaviors rarely provide real protection, and they don't usually reduce the actual risk involved. In fact, they can reinforce the belief that danger is present, which keeps anxiety going. You'll find safety behaviors across all types of anxiety disorders. They are often subtle and might not seem directly connected to anxiety at first glance. Let's go through several anxiety disorders and explore how safety behaviors appear in each one. Specific phobias. Let's start with specific phobias. Suppose someone has a fear of driving or being in a vehicle. They might leave an excessive amount of space between their car and the one in front of them, thinking it gives them more time to stop. Or if they're a passenger, they may clutch the door handle or press an imaginary brake pedal. Ask yourself, do these actions actually make driving safer? Not really. They don't reduce the likelihood of an accident, but they feel reassuring in the moment. This is the trap of safety behaviors. They create a short-term sense of relief while reinforcing the idea that danger is always near. Panic disorder. In the case of panic disorder, safety behaviors might include avoiding caffeine because it raises your heart rate, which could mimic panic symptoms. People might also avoid being far from their phone in case they need to call for help during a panic attack. Some even carry medication like Ativan just in case, even if they rarely or never use it. These actions are based on the assumption that a panic attack could lead to something catastrophic like a heart attack. But realistically, drinking coffee is unlikely to trigger a true medical emergency. Having a phone nearby or carrying Ativan might feel comforting, but they don't address the core issue, the fear of fear itself. Social anxiety. People with social anxiety often engage in behaviors designed to avoid attention or scrutiny. They might wear dull clothing to avoid standing out, avoid eye contact, or bury their faces in their phones at the bus stop to avoid interaction. These behaviors reduce the chance of embarrassment or judgment, at least in theory. But do they actually prevent negative social outcomes? Probably not. In fact, they stop the person from experiencing normal, neutral, or even positive social interactions, thus preventing them from challenging their fears. Over time, this reinforces the belief that social situations are inherently threatening. Generalized anxiety disorder (JD). With JD, the worry is often broad and persistent. People may try to prevent problems by being overly agreeable, avoiding disagreement so as not to upset others. They may avoid delegating tasks because they fear someone else will do it incorrectly. They may also repeatedly check important emails or ask others to review them. These behaviors are attempts to control uncertainty, but do they actually prevent bad outcomes? Not really. In fact, by avoiding risk and over-controlling, people with GAD often end up exhausted and still anxious, because complete certainty is impossible. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. In OCD, safety behaviors often take the form of compulsions. For example, someone who touches a doorknob and fears contamination might wash their hands repeatedly. Someone who worries they hit a pedestrian while driving might check the news or call hospitals to make sure there was no accident. These compulsions aim to neutralize distressing thoughts. But again, how likely is it that the doorknob caused a dangerous illness? Or that someone unknowingly hit someone with their car? These behaviors provide short-term relief but don't reduce the actual very low risk. Instead, they strengthen the obsessive-compulsive cycle. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Safety behaviors in PTSD often look like hypervigilance. For instance, someone might always sit with their back to the wall in a restaurant so they can monitor entrances and exits. This strategy feels protective, but how often do dangerous incidents actually occur in restaurants? This constant scanning for threats may feel like a way to stay safe, but it also keeps the nervous system in a state of high alert, preventing the brain from learning that the environment is in fact safe. Health anxiety, illness anxiety disorder. People with health anxiety may constantly research rare medical conditions, seeking reassurance. They might schedule multiple doctor visits for symptoms like stomach pain, even when reassured it's something benign like gas. They may demand more tests just to be sure. But do these repeated investigations reduce the likelihood of having a rare disease? Not at all. Instead, they increase anxiety by feeding the cycle of doubt and hyperfocus on bodily sensations. Key takeaway: feelings of safety versus actual safety. Here's the crucial insight. Just because something makes you feel safer doesn't mean it's actually making you safer. In fact, these behaviors can send a message to your brain that danger is imminent. If we act as though catastrophe is always around the corner, of course we'll feel anxious. Reducing anxiety isn't just about exposing yourself to feared situations. It also involves identifying and gradually reducing safety behaviors. This allows you to test your fears and learn that the outcomes you dread are unlikely to occur, or not as catastrophic as you imagined. Further learning. If you're interested in learning more about how safety behaviors work and how to change them, I encourage you to check out the detailed video I've linked that dives even deeper into this topic. Understanding and addressing safety behaviors is a powerful step toward long-term anxiety recovery.